Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? My name is Dane, and you're listening to The Sauce alongside FeAge and our special guest, ZeroEmpires. For those of you who don't know about ZeroEmpires, he is creator of a YouTube channel called ZeroEmpires, and he also has his own stream on Twitch. He's kind of one of the pioneers of being a AOC zone or AOC personality, in that he has so much social media content that became what he was known for before even himself playing. Zach, would you like to say a little bit more about yourself in addition to that?
Hello, how you doing?
Great.
Good. Okay, so yeah, I just decided a couple of years ago that, you know what, it's about time that there's another Age of Empires channel out there. I remember a couple of years back, there really wasn't that much going up on YouTube about Age of Empires, and I discovered the game again on Voobly, and I thought, you know what, I don't really know so much about the game, but this is a good opportunity for me to learn and maybe help some people to learn along the way. And so I started making videos, and it kind of just grew from there, really.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had kind of thought about it around the same time that you did too. Is like I've seen other games, I've seen other things being done in social media, and with the evolution of like podcasts around that time. One of my favorite writers has been heavy into podcasts for several years, so I had thought about that kind of stuff too. But I always wondered about the audience. But with you just kind of grabbed the reins of it, and you had a really good handle on how to promote things, like through not only AOC Zone, which is very popular amongst our community, but you were able to go into different settings such as like Reddit and other social media things, and really captured. I mean, I think that you were probably most famous on YouTube, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think, it took quite a long time for it to actually to pick up, to be honest. It took, a good year and a half to actually get a really good sort of following. But as you said, I kind of thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I may as well promote the hell out of it as where I can. And, I found from a very early stage that there was quite a big interest in Age of Empires videos. And I thought, I could spread it on Reddit, and I remember making a post almost 2 years ago now on the Reddit gaming subreddit, and it went pretty big, and loads of people decided, you know what, this is actually something that I'm interested in, and a lot of people subscribe from there, and it's just been a case of growing it from there, really.
What's up? Can I comments? What's up, guys?
I was just
Yeah,
thinking like, oh, if he hasn't said anything yet,
Fiage just sat in the corner.
get in here, man.
I was just
Come on,
listening.
man, come over here.
Okay, what's up, Zach? Hello, guys. I have a question, though. I think you were really smart when you did that Minecraft video, right, on your channel. I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
the most watched video,
Mhm,
right?
that's
I
right.
think I think you were really smart on your videos on your channel, because you not just only did Age of Empires videos, but you did videos that had a lot of views. I think that's one of the reasons it got so big and you got so famous, right?
Yes, I think when I was when I made the Minecraft video as
Mhm.
well, I kind of had the thought to myself, you know what, Minecraft's really popular at the moment. It was like
Mhm.
again almost 2 years ago, and I thought something that I saw but hadn't really had been expanded on was the sort of idea of papercraft, which was making little Minecraft models out of paper and then animating them using stop motion.
Mhm.
And I had well, I have a nice camera, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do something a bit different. And that video went huge. I don't know if that really affected the channel much, but certainly a lot of people viewed that. And that seems to be the case with a lot of my older videos now, where they're hitting like 100,000+ views just because they've been around for so long.
Mhm. By the way, I have another question. Do you know how many new subscribers do you get like per week or something like that? Because I think your channel is growing really big lately, right?
Lately, it's slowed down again, but when the HD release came out on Steam, the
Mhm.
channel kind of exploded quite a bit, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but there was like almost 100 new subscribers a day when that was released. So
Nice.
I think there's a real strong correlation between when good things happen in the community and how many new people sort of discover the channel. And I think one of the great things about it is that when new people discover the channel, that's when they discover that there's actually a lot more to AOC than there appears to be on the surface, and people really start to get involved, I think, then.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the best things that this whole project of yours has brought to the table, is that when you get out into those communities that don't know the game is still alive, such as Reddit or Facebook or YouTube, these people are coming in, seeing these videos, and then they realize, oh no, there's still AOC Zone is very alive. Voobly is the new host of all these
Uh-huh.
games, because a lot of people, after the gaming zone ended, and that was before that. I mean, that happened after they left. They didn't know where to go. I mean, I know that I was one of those people. We didn't. My friends and I did not know where to go at all to play for quite a while, and then they actually figured it out around the time that IGZ was going on, and then Voobly followed
Yeah, yeah.
right after that. And so that's kind of how we got back. But I mean, I came back. I was expecting Gaming Zone. All of a sudden, it was just gone one day.
Yeah, I was the same, you know. I was like, what? I remember playing Gaming Zone as a kid, and I was like, you know, years later, I thought, you know, I wonder what Age of Empires is doing right now. I've got such good memories of it from a child. And I was like, all right, what was that thing I used to play on? You know, Zone something. I was like, Age of Empires 2 Zone on Google, and I was like, it doesn't exist anymore? What do I do? And, you know, I eventually found Voobly, and I thought, you know what, this needs a bit more publicity, and that's kind of why I started.
God, that brings me to kind of what I wanted to ask you first here. I mean, other than just kind of the introduction, is what brought you to AOC? Because I know that you're a bit younger than I was, and I thought that I was
Yeah.
young to be playing the game. So, did you play right when it came out, or what's your story? How did you start out?
Well, it was, yeah, I can't even remember the exact age I was. It must have been around 2000, 2001. So I would have been about, you know, 10, 11. And I used to play online only. I had the game. I can't even remember where it came from. But I remember I had the game, and I can't remember where it came from, as I said, but I had it. And I used to go to my grandparents or my dad's. I didn't go to my dad's very often, but they were the only places I could have internet connection. And you know, I was about 10 or 11 years old, and I used to go and stay at my grandparents or at my dad's occasionally, and I'd play all weekend online. I don't even remember, you know, the people I played with. I don't. I was probably, you know, so bad at that age, but it was there right from such a young age, and it sort of continued. It stayed with me for a long time. So it's kind of, yeah, it just came out of nowhere really, and it was from such a young age that I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was kind of like that with me. I mean, I kind of went over this on the first episode, so I won't stay on it long. We had started by playing Age of Empires and Rise of Rome, and then because of
Mhm.
those things and through advertising, we figured out that Age 2 was coming out, so we all pre-ordered and we got into it
Yeah,
like that. So I mean, I was in this since like '97 or whatever, but
yeah,
which kind of blows my mind to think about that 15 years of my life have been around. Well, I guess a lot of it I spent away too, but it's amazing how long this game has been around. I mean, a lot of people remark on that on the forums all the time.
mm,
Like, you know, these
yeah,
are whenever you have an expectation, you have to have the expectation that yes, this is being done for a 13-year-old game.
yeah, definitely. You know, how did you get into it, FeAge? I'm sure I've spoke to you about this before, but I've forgotten.
I told on the last episode that I went to a store and they had two games of strategy,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, I remember now. Sorry, my
it
bad.
was
I
Age of
remember.
Empires and I
Yeah,
think Star Wars. Yeah. Oh
StarCraft.
no, StarCraft. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I chose Age of Empires. Thank God. I hate StarCraft.
Thank God.
I
Yeah.
tried to play the second game, StarCraft 2. Henny gave me a key of him. He bought it, but he wasn't playing, so he
Okay.
borrowed me, and I started to play. But it's the kind of games that the good thing about StarCraft, I think, is that it's really easy to find new games, right? Like you just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to wait 2 minutes. But man, it sucks. It's just like playing Mishi with Age of Empires all the time. It's the same thing ever again and
Yeah,
repeat and.
I think it's more about really, really going into fine detail
Mhm.
at a very, very competitive level. But
Mhm.
that's StarCraft, completely different game.
But like that's the thing. I think StarCraft is so huge and Age of Empires isn't. It's because StarCraft it's passed way faster, right? Like it's
Yeah.
already it doesn't have other ages. It has just it's like post-Imperial Age at the start. So
Yeah.
people already start killing each other from the beginning of the game, which is something it doesn't happen on Age of Empires. So people get
No.
bored with it,
I
right?
think, yeah, I agree. And, you know, from the perspective of someone who watches a lot of recorded games and, you know, tries to, it's ultimately to provide entertainment.
Hmm.
You do realize that when you compare Age of Empires to StarCraft, Age of Empires, admittedly, yeah, it's a lot slower, but there's that build up and there's that sort of it's slower to watch, but it's still a high speed game to play when you're playing it firsthand.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know, I think there's still the element of the speed there, and I think when people understand the challenge they kind of get it a bit more. The penny sort of drops.
Yeah, and there's so much value to be had in the Dark Age too, especially if
Uh-huh.
you can be as efficient as possible by it. Like in 1v1 games, for example, if somebody has a far more efficient Dark Age, the game could be over in 14 or 15 minutes. I mean, the game's
Mhm.
all about making less errors than your opponent, and that
Yep.
starts from the very beginning of the game.
Exactly, and it draws out for a longer period of time as well. I think from the standpoint of people wanting to watch, though, I can understand why people would perhaps not be so interested in watching, someone complete a Dark Age from a perspective, a viewer's perspective, over and over again. But that's where I think it's important that people explain what's going on and provide some kind of entertainment in the meantime.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I understand that too. And we had a lot of discussions on the Forgotten Empires team about how to speed up the game and
Yeah.
play it to more of a viewership for bringing people into the game and promoting through stream and stuff. And we came down on pretty much where we took off from, in that we want it to be about the game. Everything else is secondary, but you want to make the best game you can, and the game is already in a place where it's fantastic.
Exactly. And you can back that up with the fact that, so long down the line, 13, 14 years, and it's still going so strong.
Someone's asked on the chat, off question, Forgotten Empires on HD, are there any plans? Yeah, there are any plans, but I think the people that are know about it can't really say anything much,
Yeah,
right? So
they just said that there's an announced partnership between
Mhm.
Forgotten Empires and Microsoft for Steam. So we're all kind of just gotta wait and see how that comes to fruition. I know
Yeah.
they're still being worked on it, and it'll probably be a while, but I think that that's probably the best place for Forgotten Empires to go to.
I agree.
speaking about Forgotten Empires, I have a question. Do you guys had biggest expectations when Age of Empires 2 HG was announced? Like, people were saying on the AOC zone that, oh my god, it's gonna be the end of Woobly. It's gonna be it's gonna be a huge comeback for the game. It's gonna be WCG again, things like that.
Well,
We're like getting crazy.
I
was
kind of
really
expected it to be
excited.
exactly how it happened.
Really?
Why?
And that there was a lot of people buying it and playing it at first, and then they realized, oh crap, this is not well thought out, and we're going to stick to something we know, and we're going to stay at Boobly for now.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be huge. It's gonna be big tournaments again. I'm gonna be traveling all around the world.
Well, there still could
Play.
be, but a few other things
Yeah.
definitely need to happen first.
I think I have a more of a controversial point of view on the subject about HD edition. I think what everyone was expecting and what everyone got were very different things. I think
Mhm.
people had very high expectations because obviously they'd seen what the user patch guys had been able to do. They'd seen what the Forgotten Empires guys had been able to do, and that's without access to even the source code. So you give it to a games development studio who have access to everything they need, all the equipment, everything, and
Mhm.
they release something that is not up to expectation. I think that let a lot of people down. But
Exactly. Mhm.
in the same stroke, they've not finished with it yet. They've given it to a new studio, which is called Skybox, I believe. And to be honest with you, in the last couple of weeks, they really are adding a lot of new features. And I think if they really do want the best for the game, then they will make it the best that it can be.
Did they really change the studio? I have no idea. I had no
Yeah.
idea about that.
Originally, it was Hidden Path, and they've just changed it over to Skybox. I'm not really sure about their history, but apparently, according to people who I've spoken to, they're handling it a lot better.
I've seen that they are not, I mean, they are listening to the community. Like, they got some people, for example, from Forgotten Empires, and they are like adding rating that
Uh-huh.
which is really important. Things like
They've completely fixed that now.
that. Hmm.
But
Yeah, I had played yesterday, and it's really cool. But like,
It's still
how
not.
can you? Hmm.
It's still not there yet. It's still
Oh,
not
okay.
there yet. That's what I
Mhm.
was going to say. It's like they're making the improvements, but it's not what it needs to be in order for it to win over the crowd at Voobly. It's as simple as that. And I think it's going to be some time until it is. But inevitably, I think eventually it will be.
But like, that's the problem in my opinion. It's just too late. People were expecting
Yeah.
too much from the beginning, and they just saw, oh, it's just Age of Empires with different graphics. But
Definitely.
yeah, right.
But the thing
You
is,
know what I mean, right?
they did the same. This is the thing. They did the same with Age of Empires Online. I'm sure you guys know.
I
The
hate it, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate that
The,
game.
the thing is, this is the thing. They released Age of Empires Online, and they had so much hype. Everyone was like, "Yes, Age of Empires Online, new Age of Empires. This is going to be awesome." They
They
played,
were like, "Oh my god, this is
yeah,
Age of Mythology with Age of Empires. It's gonna be the best game ever, right?"
and they started. They played. They realized it was a pile of shit, and everyone left. And now, over the last 2 years, they've constantly been patching it and updating it, and now it's something that's actually a decent game. But no one's going to give it the second chance.
Yeah, exactly. But like, my biggest I mean, the biggest problem of that game, for my opinion, is that you have to buy to play rating games, right? Something like that.
That's changed. That's the thing.
That's bullshit.
It's
Really?
changed. That's not how it is anymore. The thing is though, because everyone's lost interest now, it's an old game, and the
Oh.
updates that they're doing aren't being publicized unless you're actually in that sort of circle of Age of Empires Online players.
hmm
You're not going to know about these changes, but now it's completely overhauled. You don't have to. You have to be like level 3 to play online competitive. You don't have to pay at all. Everything that you can get for by paying, you can achieve by not paying.
Really?
Yeah,
Even the units?
yeah, everything. It's completely overhauled. But that's the thing. Nobody knows about it because they've gave the game a chance. They thought it was a pile of crap. They never picked it up again. And the
Oh,
same has
interesting.
sort of happened, in my opinion, to Age of Empires 2 HD
hmm
because they've released it, everyone's picked it up. I think there was so many sales of Age of Empires
hmm
HD,
hmm
Or
and people have had a bad impression, but they might not come back now, and that's the problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
losing your
exactly.
initial audience is a big bummer, but at the same time, sometimes you need to throw it out there to see where the leaks are, and
Yeah.
then you can patch it up and make a good product. Hopefully, that's
Mhm.
what happens with this show.
Tom asked, how about a word on the Mayans still having a scout cavalry as the start? I think he's saying
Yeah,
for the new patch, right?
yeah.
Well,
They
that's
know
obviously
that.
just like an
Yeah.
unit overlook. That's going to be fixed in an instant.
hmm
All right. Well, um,
We're not really
I
spokesmen for the HD
yeah,
version, so
that's not
yeah.
anything to do with any of us. But I think it's time to run us to a commercial. We're going to run this commercial. Please let it play. If you have an ad blocker, please turn it off. This commercial directly supports AOC Zone tournaments, and it's really helpful to us. And the more that we're able to run, the better off we'll be in the future. We'll be back in 3 minutes with more sauce. And we're back. Sorry about that 3 minute delay, but as I said, everything's going to be added up, and we're really hoping that over the long course of this tournament, as viewership for not only this podcast, but also the streamed games from the tournament, that'll add up, and maybe that could be enough for a prize pool of another tournament in itself.
Mhm.
I guess the next thing we kind of want to talk about is one last thing as far as the introduction of Zach. And I don't know if a lot of people know this story. I know I sure don't know the whole story, but I wanted to know how did you come up with the name ZeroEmpires, and what did you want it to be, and how did it all come about?
Okay, well, you know, coming up with the name is always something that I've struggled with, to be honest with you. Basically, the name Zero Empires comes from the fact that when I was starting making videos, it had been so long since I'd played Age of Empires, and I was playing terribly on Voobly, that I thought to myself, you know, at this rate, I'm never going to have an empire, because I was so bad. So I just thought, you know, Zero Empires. Screw it. Zero sounds good. Empires, whatever. It's related. I think that's pretty much where the name came from. No really special meaning, I don't think, there.
So what was your intention as you, like, when you returned to AOC, did you just, like, cold return to AOC after not doing anything and decide, I'm making videos right now, right upon my re-arrival to the community?
Yeah, no. I played, I don't know, about 2 or 3 months, and then I thought, you know, I could probably do with looking for some tutorials and stuff online, how to get better and things. And so I was sort of Googling and looking on YouTube for commentaries. At the time, I was really into watching StarCraft 2 streams. And I thought, you know what, it would be cool. It would be cool if Age of Empires had something similar. So I was looking around on YouTube, and I found Mr. Danish and Illuminite. I think both of you probably know who they are.
Oh.
You don't? Okay. Well, 2 years ago, they were the biggest channels on YouTube for Age of Empires content. But they both stopped around the same time. And I was looking at their channels, and I was thinking, you know what, I think it would be cool if sort of revitalized this. And so I just started doing something on my own, and you know, at the time the quality of the videos was absolutely terrible, but that's just something that's improved over time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't know who you were or how you came about or anything. I mean, all of a sudden you just start seeing Zero Empires all over the place and promoting content and stuff like that. And a part of me wondered, like, where did he come from? How did he get this idea? And is it like this person, probably, I assumed that you were probably within the community for a while, and you had some editing or communications background, and just decided, I'm going to create this new identity. I'm basically going to become Batman. Nobody knows my past, but I'm about to do a lot for the future.
Now that would be a lot cooler of a story. Unfortunately, it's not that cool. It's
I'm
literally just you. Yeah.
I'm sorry I
took all my steam.
overestimated you.
No, it's cool, man. It's just, you know, 2 years ago I thought I kind of want to just do something a bit different, and I kind of aspired to be a bit like the casters that cast StarCraft 2, because I was so entertained by it, and I wanted to create something for Age of Empires because I love the game so much, and that's pretty much why. I wanted to see it continue forward, and thought maybe perhaps it could achieve getting some new players if they had something like that.
Well, I mean this from me, and I'm sure FeAge and everybody else. We really thank you for all your work you've done in the last 2 years as far as the whole Zero Empires movement goes. You've drawn a lot of interest to our game that I don't think anybody else could have really done in the manner that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I also want to talk about one other thing that is kind of a Zero Empires creation. Grandmasters League began.
Oh yes.
Let's see, when did that kick off? Wasn't it like February?
That was yeah. That was like near Christmas time, I remember. Me and the Viper were like talking about it, and we started planning things then. I think about February, yeah, it kicked off then.
So we all know the results. Viper kind of
Yeah.
shut down everybody. That was kind of brutal. But as far as the planning of it, did you get the idea from some other game? I mean, I'm asking this because I genuinely do not know. I'm not trying to set up a question. I am very
Okay.
isolated in the gaming world. I really only talk about, listen to,
Okay.
do anything AOC, so I'm really interested.
Well, you know, one thing that I remember doing back a long time ago when I was little playing Age of Empires, I remember there being tournaments and stuff, and you know, I've always had this dream of hosting my own tournament one day. And I thought, you know, it would be cool. There was kind of a time, there was a bit of a lull. There wasn't really much planned coming up. there hadn't been much in a while, and I thought it would be cool if we could do something and get a different style of format of tournament and just try something new. And I kind of got the idea a little bit inspired, again, by a StarCraft 2 thing that I saw. There was, and now, what's it called? I think it was the GSL or something like that, the Global StarCraft League. And I thought, I really like the format of this. Obviously, we're not going to copy it straight out, but let's try something different. And I spent a long time talking with the Viper about how we could make something work in a very different format to what Age of Empires is used to. As far as actually carrying it out went, I think we spent just a long time talking about it, and we eventually decided what we've got here is actually quite an exciting idea, and we'll see if anyone's interested.
So now that you jumped into it and you had gone through the whole experience, you took advantage of the exciting idea. If you could change anything, what would you change? And what do you think actually turned out to be very good coming from it?
Okay, I think personally, I'd never really had any experience with tournaments before. Not administrating or being a moderator of on a tournament. So it was a very much of a first for me. One thing I definitely would have done differently is had more staff members.
Yeah.
I know yourself were one of the staff members. It was a little bit hectic. I think we really sort of underestimated how much it took.
Well, I think
I certainly did.
Anytime you're going to have a round robin with Tim where there's multiple opportunities for him to have to schedule versus other human beings, you're going to have that kind of chaotic incidents.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got to say right now, Mr. Yo in that tournament was an absolute savior.
Yeah, Mr. Yo was probably the MVP of that tournament. Like, people don't know behind the scenes, but he did all the translation for him and Good Boy.
Yeah.
And it was incredible, the kind of conversations I'd have to have with Tim some days.
I know, talk about uncooperative, but Mr. Yo really saved us a lot in a lot of situations there to make it run kind of smoothly. One thing I would say went pretty well. Scheduling on that tournament was pretty much spot on.
Overall, it was, yeah. There were a couple of issues with Tim here or there, like him wanting to not play Viper and him running halfway through the match with Dot and stuff like that. But overall, I think everybody else handled it pretty well, and I think a lot of it stems from them. They all kind of knew each other. All those guys who've been in the top tier of this game for so long, they knew each other. Like, Chris and Dot have played probably 150 or more 1v1s. And, I mean, everybody generally gets along and at least respects each other enough to show up at the right time, or understands, okay, this person's from this area, this is when they play, we'll have to find a time during this time. And most of it went pretty well. There were a few miscommunications because of, I think, language barriers and maybe some asshole barriers, but that's about it.
I think overall it went pretty well as far as scheduling went, and just general running of the tournament I think went well. And I think another thing that's kind of been good that came from it is that a lot of the Medieval Wars rules, for instance, were kind of almost directly copied from what we had written down for GML.
Yeah, I noticed that too. A lot of the rules for this came, as amendments to kind of Tribal Wars stuff and GML stuff, where every set of rules we have from the previous generally ends up being better than the time before. And I think that's one of the really nice things about running a tournament every 6 months or so, is really being able to just keep advancing the rules, keep advancing the structure of the tournament. And I'm really excited about this tournament structure. I guess, what do you have to say about Medieval Wars? I can't remember, did you decline to be a staff on this tournament, or are you just in a smaller role in this one? Because I haven't seen you around nearly as much. But
well, when the tournament was being set up and the staff were being sort of involved, I was away in Greece. So I was like, well, I didn't really expect an invitation on that, and I didn't really know, even if I had been invited, whether I'd want to or not, because previous experiences staffing a tournament, obviously. But I don't know. I think had I been asked, I probably would have declined anyway because of my situation.
Oh, I thought they did. I would have asked you. Sorry to put that out in the public. My bad.
Okay. One thing I'd like to know, FeAge obviously played in the Grandmasters League.
He's a monster.
Is he still there? Is he still alive? Have you gone back to your corner?
What's up?
I just want to know what you thought, because I'd not really spoke to you that much since the Grandmasters League, really, and I wanted to know what you thought about the tournament as a whole.
I think it was amazing. Like, I remember speaking about it before the tournament started, and everybody knew it would be that good because the players and everybody was really excited because it was a long time we had previous 1 versus 1 tournament, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like the tournament that I most practiced 1 versus 1. Like I don't remember playing that much before WCL and before GML. I played a lot,
Yeah.
and I think it went really smooth. And I hope we get another one later
I hope
in the
to.
future.
I
Hmm.
really hope to. But you know, I, the idea of the JML was to sort of try something new, and I don't know how much the community really liked it that much. I mean, there was a very mixed response, but I think it can be improved on. And one thing that we wanted to improve on in the future was by having more leagues, more people in the leagues, and then you can have a sort of ranking system where you've got platinum at the top, you've got gold, you've got silver, and you've got bronze,
Hmm.
and it's
Some people didn't really like it because it was an invited tournament, right?
yeah,
Like most of the people want to join tournaments just by like just for to play with good players. They just want that, you know.
yeah,
They know
yeah.
they are not gonna go far and things like that. But that's the thing. Like I think it went really smooth, and I think people actually really enjoyed it by the end of the tournament. You can
Yeah,
see how many downloads it has on the UC Zone. It's one of the most downloaded record games. So
yeah, and I tell you
you
what
know.
as well, I think some of the recorded games are very memorable.
Mhm.
I remember a lot of them, and there's a lot of times when I'm like watching a replay or playing a game, and I think to myself, oh, this guy's doing the same as FeAge did in the GML, where he suicided 40 villagers to Chris, and trying to build a castle. You know,
Yeah,
I think, you know, there were some memorable things in that.
we call it a live strategy. You know, it's actually we do call it. Brazilian guys call a live strategy because we remember a game Alive went with I think 50 villagers to build a castle and Rio killed them all, and everybody was laughing. And I did the Alive stuff, you know.
Yeah, you know.
Riot and
Alive is a
Alive,
Hilarious.
bad influence.
Riot and Alive have one of my other favorite moments of recorded game history is that the World Championship League game when Riot went in and killed his tower that had a king in it and then killed it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
Man, I love that moment so much. But
I was really happy.
to have that happen in such a big tournament in such a crucial stage, that was
Yeah,
really incredible.
it's quite something.
Well,
Alive is such a good player.
yeah.
I love it.
Let me ask you, Zach, of the teams that are in this tournament, which ones do you kind of want to see succeed or do well, or which ones do you think will do well? Maybe you have too many friends on too many teams and you don't want to, pick one over the other.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, obviously, favorites across the board. We all know that Tyrant is going to be up there. We all know that
Stackers,
RVK is going to be up there.
stackers.
You know, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious who the main teams are going to be. As far as like sort of underdogs who might come up, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I think I kind of want to see the Argentinian guys do well. Um, but yeah, I don't want to make too many predictions too soon.
I think the ARGs could do well, but if that Smurf team in RTSL is them, they just got beat by the new chapter guys too.
Mm.
So we'll see. Have to see how they do. I think the less that Monos plays, the better they can do.
Did you guys watch the record games of the round one?
Some of them. I haven't
There
had
were
a
Some,
chance
no
to
yeah.
watch them all.
no big surprises on that game.
No,
No.
not at all.
Games.
Well,
Not at
a
all.
lot of it was 1 versus 4 seeds as far as the group goes too. So I mean, in rounds 2 and 3, we'll see some better matchups. I've already seen some for this one, and then round 3 probably has the best.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think.
go
Oh,
on.
sorry, go on. I think the biggest surprise for me it was the GX against VNSP. I was really surprised at how good those games were, and I think VNSP lost it, right?
I
Oh
haven't
no,
had a
they
chance to
actually
watch
won the
them yet.
game. They actually won the game against the GX, and everybody knows those guys are really really good. I mean, like I don't know why, but they are not really known. The Japanese, the Vietnamese guys, the Chinese guys, you know, like everybody knows just the known players. But like the fact is, there are a lot of good players out there,
Well, I think
and
a lot of it actually has to stem from being able to remember or pronounce a name. Like, there's a lot of European or American sounding names that are like 1800 that you can remember just because it's so
Yeah.
it's the most common language that we all speak. But for a lot of the Chinese or Vietnamese or even some Japanese names, for people who aren't used to those syllables or pronunciations and
Yeah.
things, it's tough to remember. Like I have a hard time. I think every Chinese person's the same. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. But just to correct, Vienna's won that game. Vienna's big won it. I highly recommend
Mm.
people watching to listening to watch those games because they were really good.
Yeah.
And I think like do you guys want to make a bet on next rounds who's gonna win and things like that?
As in the second round of games in the first.
The second one.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, well, there's a lot of different groups, so it would have to be one for each group, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just
Mm.
talk about the big ones, right? The big clans and stuff.
Okay. Sure. Sure. We've got to get up who's actually
Yeah. Do you
playing
have
who right
do you
now.
have a schedule for us?
Oh, okay, so we have on group A we have Tyrant obviously against the GX. I think
Uh-huh.
everybody knows it's gonna be
I actually
right.
think Tyrant will win that.
That's
Really?
a bit of a controversial decision there, Whack.
Yeah, I'm going with the home team.
You think Tyrant's gonna win it?
Yeah, I think. Well, unless Jordan plays, then they might have a chance
yeah,
because
true,
he's
true.
he's rusty, and I think he lost today to a 1900.
No, yeah, I think Tyrant's gonna win that one. JX team lost versus Vietnam Strategy
that's
B, so yeah,
Mhm.
Tyrant definitely.
Like I think the most interesting games on all the groups are gonna be New Chapter against Viking Nomadus, VN against
Mm.
NC. I think the skill level between those two clans are really equal, and I
Uh-huh.
think those games are gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Personally, I'm kind of rooting for VN a little bit here. Me and Milo are quite good friends. So.
Is Milo playing on VN?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was on Argentinian guys.
Wait, am I wrong here? Hang on. I'm pretty sure Milo's on VN.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay then.
He is, yeah.
Also, another one I highly recommend. There are two more that I highly recommend. Is the Lord of Schools lost against Power of Japan, Japanese
That's
guys.
going to be my
Yes.
favorite. I was really
That
hoping
would
that
be
they
good.
would schedule at a time that I could stream that because I wanted that one bad. But I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Mm.
LOS, I think, going to do really well in this tournament, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have a
Who-
theory. It's kind of like a sporting event, like basketball, hockey, soccer. If you have the best player in any set, any game on your team, I think that your odds are much better. And there are probably only two other teams in the tournament that have somebody that can match Riot.
Mhm. Like,
Yeah.
what are your guys' thoughts about those games, Power of Japan against Lord of Schools? Who you guys think are gonna win and why?
It depends on if Miguel plays. If Miguel plays with LOS, I think that they will win. But if he doesn't, I think that the overall balance and strength of POJ might be enough to steal enough
Yeah.
at least for the series.
Yesterday I was taking a shower, naked, and things like that. I was thinking about those games, and I was thinking, Lost has Riot and Miguel, and they're really strong, But like, if they don't do really well on those games, I think Power Japan has a big shot on those games
Yeah.
because, like, Power of Japan doesn't have like a really skilled player, but they
Their
have
teamwork.
really, yeah, their teamwork is
Uh-huh.
really strong. That's the
Yeah.
thing,
You see, this
that
is the
could
thing
make
I've
them
been
win.
saying in a lot of the streams. It doesn't, in a team game tournament, it's not so much about the individual skill level of the players, it's how they work together as a team and their communication and their ability to work together. And I think, when you're working as a team, there's so much more chance for you to do well, even if you're not the favourites, just because, you might have some strategy that's going to completely catch them off guard, especially because we have the like random maps in there.
Exactly. And linking to that, someone asked on the chat, has anyone come up with a new strategy or tactic in playing Age of Empires, or has at this point all the possibilities being exploited? And I think it's a nice link because, in my opinion, it's not ended.
No.
There are a lot of strategies, but like 2 years ago on that tournament, one tournament, that guy created the Drush and Feudal, right? And people started using it. So and I think he did a Fast Castle as well, right, with Hans. So it was a new strategy, and everybody was copying it. and I think it's gonna have new strategies over and over again. It's just a matter of someone
Yeah.
creating it, someone making it better. You know.
Well, I think the more that players start to move, well, it's not going to happen, but if players start to move a little further away from Arabia Hun Wars all the time, and start to play civilizations that we don't see so often,
Hmm.
then perhaps new things, especially well, more so in team games, could sort of come up. I don't think that all the strategies have been discovered because there's an infinite number of
Hmm.
different things that you could do, and I think as well as the fact that we've still got new maps coming out and new maps
Exactly.
that can be created. There's always
Hmm.
going to be new things that can be done in different situations.
And also you can adapt the strategies that are already made. You know, you can make it better. So if you compare the old games like years ago from now, you're gonna see a huge difference on the skill levels because it's being adapted over and over again, right? That's why so many old players have a big difficulty to become a better player nowadays, right? Because
Yeah.
it's so different from the old days.
Yeah, strategies
Uh,
have changed a lot over 10 years, but for the really truly top class players, they've adapted. Like Chris, Dot, Cobb, for example, took a lot of time off and came back. I mean, Tyrant, those guys in the first team of Tyrant, they came back from long breaks and still won the tournament. So, and what Cab said a long time ago still rings true, is that class rises to the top. A lot of the guys that are just talented will always be talented, and if they went to other
mhm.
games, they'd be successful
Hmm.
at those too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. By the way, just to end about the discussion of the next rounds, there is Group F. You know, last week the Prophet said about this CZ team,
Yep,
Uh-huh.
the Kazakh team. They are playing against the CKF, the team, right?
that's going to be
Hmm.
another really good matchup, and so will Alk
Mhm.
versus Vietnam A.
Yeah, I was gonna say about those two are gonna be really. I think this round is one of the most interesting so far, and I think they're gonna have a lot of GGs, right? And
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
definitely.
hope I really hope they're gonna be streamed all those games
Mhm.
because seriously, it's gonna be really GG's.
I think
So
wasn't VNSA like not allowing stream or something though.
they're not allowing a stream for fear of lag, is the
Yeah.
problem.
mm,
Yeah,
mhm.
they're afraid that with their connections and playing across the world and stuff, that
Yeah.
having a stream attached to that will create even more lag and albeit unnecessary lag. So they just
Hmm.
would rather not.
We'll
Mhm.
see how that progresses later on in the tournament.
Yeah.
But I think, once the group stage is over and they've done the round robin in the group stage, things are going to get so interesting because we have so many good teams involved here.
Hmm.
Mhm.
This is just, it's huge. There's so many great players and so many great teams that things are going to get so good and so close, I think, after the group stage.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's time to run another ad. As I announced before, please let it run. We're going to try and raise enough money for another commercial soon enough. This one will be shorter. We'll run it at 2 minutes, and we'll be back with more sauce.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're back. This will be kind of the last segment of the show, and we wanted to kind of close with something kind of uniquely Zero Empires. This is a guy who has his hand in a lot of different projects in the community and probably has a unique perspective on the future of AOC. So we thought we'd close by talking a bit about that. Zach, what do you think we can expect for the future of AOC? Let's say the next 2 years and the next 5 years. Where do you think we'll be
Okay.
at?
Well, I certainly don't think the game is going anywhere. It's a very broad question, but one thing is for sure, I don't see Age of Empires going anywhere anytime soon, especially, with the release of the HD version. As far as where it's going to be, personally, I think positive things. With the Medieval Wars tournament as it is at the moment, it's something very unique in the fact that the streams are such an important part of the tournament, and raising funds for the tournament through having advertisements on the stream. I think that's huge. That's never really been done before in Age of Empires. And, if at the later stages of the tournament we can get a really good following of people watching the streams, then, it's got a lot of potential to bring in a sizable amount of cash, and that can go on to fund another tournament that could be even bigger and better.
Yeah, most of the tournaments right now we have are privately funded, either through everything's through donations, but
Yeah.
some are larger, more anonymous ones, and some are just being put forward by the public. And we're trying to do our own thing right now by raising money through stream on AOC's own channel here. Thanks for watching the sauce. But with with the publicity of AOC HD, if everything starts to go well on that front, and we start to attract the kind of numbers that we thought we could have as it was released, do you think that there's a possibility of us attracting more corporate sponsorship?
Potentially. It's a tough one because, you see these streams for Dota, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, the big streams, they're pulling in, I don't know, maybe 5,000 viewers on average. They are the kind of streams that are going to attract corporate sponsorship, and they do. I've seen advertisements for Coca-Cola on certain streams, advertisements by Razer on others, and it's inevitable that if you get enough viewers and enough of a regular viewership, you will have interest from corporate sponsors. At the end of the day, the corporations who want to sponsor streams and things, if there's enough viewership there, then they'll do it because it's gonna pay off for them. So, going back to if we can get the numbers, I think we could, yeah.
I'm really hoping that with a lot of these new players, as they come into the game, they will seek to improve their skills in a way that can compete with the rest of the community. Because, a few people have come back in the last couple of years and just said, wow, I cannot believe the level of play of the average 1700 in this game right now. Like,
Yeah.
I think we really underestimate how good these people are online right now. Like, this community, despite not having a lot of players, is very, very talented in the mid-level and up.
Yeah.
You know what are my thoughts about that? The biggest problem of Age of Empires is that the community is really split. You said it doesn't have a lot of players, but they actually do. If you take the number and if you look how many players like Game Ranger has, AOC HD has, it's a huge list, man. But like the problem is they know, like sometimes they don't even know about Voobly, AOC Zone and things like that. So the community is really split.
I agree
Like,
with you
it's-
on that. I think the
for
community
example,
is split, yeah.
StarCraft is just one place. There is one big forum about it, and there is one place to play. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And I did
Definitely.
kind of mean in relation to other games, it's smaller. But I do
But
know that, like, isn't the Chinese zone just monstrous? I mean, the German
Yeah.
have their own community. I think
There are-
Vietnam or Japanese even have their own sites.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
There are national sites as well that have a large community, like QQ Zone, for instance, which is the Chinese one. Thousands of players on there. And also as well, just a little bit of information here. If I just quickly check, in the last, I think, 4 or 5 days, possibly a week now, there's been 37,000 unique players on Age of Empires HD playing multiplayer.
That's an incredible number.
Imagine if we could reassign all those players from all over the world just to one place.
Yeah,
You
if
know,
you were
it
able to
would be
get
huge.
a
Hmm.
fifth, or let's say a seventh, yeah, a seventh of those players, you're already over 5,000 players for like one stream. If you were able to like create enough
Uh-huh.
buzz around a tournament for something like that, let alone bringing all of our players into that community. What if we were able
Yeah.
to get the other players onto the community? So I really
Hmm.
hope that the people in charge of the HD movement really do a good job, because being able to attract all the people to that platform, I'd happily pay $20 to do that, especially for like,
Yeah.
lifetime
But
membership.
that's
I'd
the
probably
thing.
pay 20 a month to do that.
That's the thing. It's not even $20 because Steam has sales all the time.
Yeah.
Just last week it was 60% off. For 6 months. So, it's not that expensive when you think about
Yeah,
it.
it's
You
already
could pick it up for $9. It's nothing.
that is
Hmm.
nothing. Wow.
And the thing is, right? People are reluctant to pay it because they think, oh, it's just cash in Microsoft's pocket. Yes and no. At the end of the day, there is going to be money going to Microsoft, but
Hmm.
to develop it like they are doing, then it could be great for the community. And I think one of the problems with the Age of Empires community, at least over at AOC Zone, is the pessimism surrounding everybody.
Well, that's the
Everybody
internet
is,
in general, man. If you log on to the
yeah,
internet, you better be able to
true,
handle
true.
somebody's bad day.
But the thing is, though, there is so much pessimism. People just don't have any faith or belief that
Hmm.
something could come of this because it's so old.
And they get turned off. A lot of new players get turned off by the pessimism. Like, I've gotten random private messages on AOC Zone from people who just never post but still want to talk about like a certain something. Like, actually, from last week, somebody was listening to this who had never posted there before and looked at my shirt on the picture and asked if I went to college there, because that is where he is going to college. So I thought that that was
Wow,
pretty cool.
that's cool. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it has a huge potential, but it just needs to be worked on, you know.
yeah,
But
definitely.
like,
I think as well. One thing that's quite nice about the HD at the moment, but one thing that is bad about the current sort of situation with AOC is everyone is so obsessive over points.
hmm
Yeah.
Everyone is over. They're obsessed about points, and it's not about having a good game anymore.
Well,
It's about, am I going to lose points? Am
I
I
think
going to
the
get points?
community as a whole is too afraid about being judged. I think that that is maybe the one detriment that every recorded game being posted, and aside from private games, like being able to do a private game rated and hope that your strategy won't leak out during the tournament. But the other thing is, like, if you have a bad game, it's on AOC Zone, and everybody's gonna be commenting and trolling and stupid shit like that. And I
Yep.
think that that is the one negative about it, and that is something that people look to avoid or try and make sure they get their win or get their points.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's really frustrating. And I was playing a game just this week, and I mean, it's a close game at 33 minutes, and one of our friends dropped it. It was actually the first day that Voobly started having problems, so it was a clear Voobly drop. We were on Skype. I knew that it was a problem with that. I mentioned what it was, and let's save, go back, get him, and relaunch, because I mean, it's somebody I play with every day. Vian Coffer, yes, I'm calling him out, forced continue, and said, "No, man, I'm not wasting 33 minutes on my." I'm like, "Holy crap! You're sitting inside playing a video game, and you're talking about
Really?
wasting time as a valid excuse." It's one of the dumbest
Wow.
things I've ever heard.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think we've kind of strayed off topic a little bit here.
Yeah.
We were saying about how how, is it possible to get viewership numbers?
Well, I'm
And
in a
I
way
think the
that
potential is there.
in a way that didn't stray, because a lot of the things that drive people away from the community are experiences like I just mentioned.
Mm.
But I do hope that with the release of AOE or AOC2 or AOE2 HD and FE on Steam, that we will be able to hang on to those numbers. That the community will be big enough that the actions of a few a-holes won't discourage the entire masses.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that you've got to consider right now is that there's so many new players on the HD version that, the level of play over there is very low.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to merge the communities, for instance, if for instance we were going to say just take HD and move everyone from there to Vuble or vice versa, there would be so much sort of so many people would be turned away because of the average skill level of the sort of veterans, I suppose you would say, and all of the new influx of people who have just come in. So I think it's kind of hard for the newer people to really get into it unless they really have the determination to stick it out.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that the game is going to have.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
I think what they really need is to make a huge tournament. You know.
Mm. Well, I spoke to Steve, the I don't know what his job title would be, like the community manager or whatever he's called, and he said they were potentially thinking about having a Microsoft sponsored tournament. It
Mm-hmm.
could
Interesting.
it could happen, but the thing is, they need to know that if they do it, is it going to pay off?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think if the community gets behind it and they really make a stand and say, look, this would be amazing. This is what we want. They need to sort of keep at the HD guys saying, look, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that, you can make it so much better. They might do it.
How do we make it pay off for them though? Because I mean, Microsoft is not in the business of giving donations to communities like ours. They want to be able to promote something else through that. Like if they're gonna give money for a tournament, they're gonna advertise in some way. And how are we gonna have enough numbers for their advertisement to get its bang for its buck?
Well, I think they would want to host it, and they would be responsible in a sense for advertising it as well.
Yeah.
If they did something like that, I mean, I have no idea whether it would happen or not. But if it did, what would be in it for them would be potential sales of Age of Empires 2 HD, and potential sponsorship of other games that they want to try and plug on whatever medium they bring the tournament to the viewers.
I think that was one of the concerns of a lot of the community too. Is okay, now we've bought this game from Microsoft. Now they already have our money. What's in it for them to keep up with it?
Yeah. I don't know, but the way that they've been continually updating the online version and the way that they're continually updating the HD version, it seems like the support is there.
I agree with you, and I think that it's proven a lot of the critics wrong so far.
Definitely.
Oh man, I can already see me flying to US to play the finals. It's gonna be amazing.
You want that, you want that.
Yeah, you can see me there.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be there too.
I really hope they do it, man. I want a big tournament.
But the thing is, right, if they did do a big tournament and it worked out like really well, and it
Mhm.
was something that kicked off massively and had big interest and people watched it all over Twitch TV, it
Mhm.
would continue. It
Exactly.
would keep going, yeah.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really needs to be focused on is professionalism and
Mhm.
just, making streams fun for everyone to watch and actually getting the numbers. That's the thing.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, maybe I can ask your expertise in promoting this, and maybe we could get the viewership up on this, and then maybe we can start to attract more people through the streams through those. I know that this week we
Yeah.
have Tyrant versus Jiang Ji. Is that how you pronounce it?
JX, I say.
Oh, JX.
JX.
Well, we're going to have several streams this week for the Medieval Wars tournament. We're hoping that everybody who is listening to this will be watching that. And I hope that
Yeah.
Voobly can figure out their problems this week too, because I think that Voobly is down again,
Yeah,
which would
having
mean
problems.
the third time
Yeah,
this
it
week
is.
already. Which is too bad. I mean, it still is the best place to play. I won't knock Voobly. They've done a lot of good
No,
for us.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah, definitely, by far.
All right. Do you guys have anything you'd like to close up with?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do I download it after the show ends so I can listen it to when I go to work?
Well, here's what we're thinking about doing with these shows, and it's better for this one since my internet did not cut out and it was not in two parts. What we're going to hopefully do here is upload this VOD to YouTube with the help of our very own special guest, Zach. And with that, I can split the sound into an MP3 file, which I will then post on the Sauce thread on AOC Zone. And then if people were to download that and want to put it on their iPhone or do anything else with it, listen to it in the car,
Yeah.
they will have that option. And
Free
that
to
is
do
one of
whatever
the
they wish.
and that was one of the cool things that I wanted to have happen about this show is even though we don't have like a monstrous amount of viewership throughout this initial stream, especially with such a short window of promotion, like I didn't know what day we were going to be able to do it this week, is that people will be able to download it and listen to it at their own will. So even though the first day of streaming this particular show has 71 live viewership, or live people on the viewership, I'm hoping there will be several hundred that actually listen to the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna get there, Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Eventually, yeah.
Alrighty, well,
Okay. Well, one thing I'd like to say is that those of you who are watching now who haven't followed the stream, if you can, click follow on the stream, and you'll get an email to your email address whenever this stream goes live. And this is where the Medieval Wars games are going to be casted and shown,
Yes.
as
And
well as, of course, the source.
Yeah, and you know there are some other stream channels that go live too if this one is being used. Best thing that you can do also is get involved in AOC Zone. You know, you don't need to lurk in the shadows or just read the topics. You know, contribute, especially if you feel like you have an opinion or some facts that we don't know or think are worthwhile. We're always looking for new people to help out within the community, and on the AOCZone.net homepage, there also is a window that shows when the streams are active of those who have asked them to be displayed there. So that's one of the best ways to find out about new streams as well.
Definitely.
All right. Any final words? I think I've said all of mine.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
I have one final word. I love you guys.
All
That's
right.
it.
Well, there you
No
have
love
it.
from us. Just FeAge. FeAge has all the love in the world.
Yeah, I love everybody.
Well, thanks for
Especially
watching,
girls.
guys. Again, we're going to run some more ads here right at the end. Please let it run through those. We're raising money for future AOC Zone tournaments. Thanks for watching.